All right, let's talk about a huge security risk that honestly almost every single company deals with. We're going to break down how the Windows Local Administrator Password Solution, or LAPS, works with Microsoft Intune to seriously lock down your devices. Ready? Let's get into it. But before we go deep, I've got a question for you. Just take a second and think about it. In your whole company, with all the servers, user accounts, and complex systems, what's the one password that's the most dangerous? I bet it's not the one you're thinking of. Yep, that's it. The humble local administrator password. You know the one. If you're using that same password on machine after machine, you've got a massive vulnerability just sitting there, waiting. It's basically like having a single master key for every single door in your entire company building. So here's our game plan for today. First, we'll talk about why that shared password is such a big problem. Then we'll introduce the solution, LAPS. We'll follow a password on its entire journey through the system, cover how to actually deploy this thing, and wrap up with the huge security benefits you get at the end.
You see, this shared password issue is a classic way for attackers to get in. Once they compromise just one machine and grab that password, they can use a technique called pass the hash to just move around. They can hop from one computer to the next across your network, almost like a ghost. This is called lateral movement, and it's a security nightmare that can completely tear down all your other defenses.
So, how do we fix this? Well, this is where Windows LAPS comes into play. And the best part is, this isn't some clunky third-party tool you have to buy and integrate. Nope, it's a feature that's already built right into Windows, and it's managed from the cloud with Intune. It's a really elegant solution designed to fix this exact problem. So what does it actually do? Well, the key word here is automates. LAPS automatically creates a unique, really complex password for the local admin account on every single device. And it rotates that password regularly. Then it securely stores that password up in a central directory, in our case, Microsoft Entra ID, which you might remember as Azure Active Directory. From there, only people with the right permissions can get to it. Okay, now for the really cool part. Let's actually follow a single password on its complete journey, from start to finish through the LAPS system with Intune. This is going to show you exactly how all the pieces connect and work together. As you can see, there's a full life cycle here. It all starts with an admin setting up the policy, then the device grabs that policy, and finally the new password gets stored securely where it can be retrieved when needed. Let's zoom in on a few of the most important steps in this whole flow. So, everything kicks off right here, in the Intune Admin Center. This is Command Central. An admin comes in here and defines the rules of the road for these passwords. Things like, how long should they be? How complex? Uppercase, lowercase, numbers, special characters, and critically, how often should the password change? This policy right here is the brains behind the whole operation. Now, once a device gets that policy, it generates its brand new unique password. And this is where the security model really shines. That password isn't just stored somewhere on the local hard drive where it can be found. No way. The device immediately sends it up to Microsoft Entra ID, which acts like a secure digital vault. So just like that, the password is off the local device and stored safely in a central protected place. So what if a help desk tech needs to log into a machine to fix something? They don't have to use some shared password written on a sticky note. Instead, an admin who has the correct permissions can go into the portal, look up that specific device, and retrieve its current password. We call this a break glass scenario for emergencies. And every time this happens, it's fully logged and audited, all thanks to something called Role-Based Access Control, or RBAC. Okay, that's the theory. It all sounds great, right? But now let's get practical. How do you actually roll this out in the real world? And what are the important things you need to get right to make it work? I think this slide does a great job of showing how all the pieces of the puzzle fit together. You've got Intune at the top, the control plane, setting the rules. Microsoft Entra ID is your identity layer, that secure vault we talked about. The Windows device itself does the actual work of creating and changing the password. And then, wrapped around it all, you have security layers like RBAC and conditional access, which control who gets the password and when. Now, a question I get all the time is, hey, we're already using the old on-prem LAPS with group policy. What about that? And that's a super important point. That legacy GPO-based LAPS can actually clash with this modern cloud-first approach. The best practice, for sure, is to move completely over to the Intune policy. It gives you a clean, fully integrated solution. You might just need to run some scripts to clean up the old settings first. Before you flip the switch on this, there are a few key decisions you've got to make. First, and this is a big one, who actually needs to be able to retrieve these passwords? You need a really strict access model to prevent misuse. Second, How tough are your passwords going to be? This is your main line of defense. And you should also think about renaming the default administrator account. It's a simple trick, but it can really trip up automated attacks.
And for a really smooth rollout, here are a few pro tips. Use dynamic groups in Entra ID. That way, policies get assigned automatically as you add new devices. It's a lifesaver. Make sure you document the retrieval process for your support teams. And please make sure your security and help desk staff are actually trained on how this new process works. It'll save you so many headaches.
So, you've done all the planning and configuration. What's the big payoff? Why does all this matter so much? Well, the truth is, it fundamentally changes your company's security for the better.
Here's the bottom line. You completely wipe out the risk from shared local admin passwords. Gone. You make it incredibly hard for an attacker to move around your network. You get a secure, fully audited way to handle emergencies. And you actually make life simpler for your IT teams, all while making your security and compliance officers very, very happy. It is a massive win all around.
Look, getting LAPS rolled out with Intune is a huge leap forward. But security is always a journey, right? It's not a destination. You've just locked one major door that attackers love to use. Which, of course, leads to the final and most critical question. What's the next one you need to find and lock?